The dining room illusion. Restaurants want you to think the experience begins at the table. Menus, lighting, aromas, the soft choreography of service. But the truth starts long before you sit down. Inside every dining room is a stage, and behind every stage is an engine, loud, chaotic, frantic, and held together by shortcuts no one wants customers to see. This file isn't about bad food. It's about the things restaurants hide to protect the illusion. Kitchens built on speed, not elegance. Tricks designed to nudge your appetite. Quiet compromises that keep margins afloat. Secrets that health inspectors note in clipped sentences and employees whisper only after they've quit. Not scandals, just the machinery that keeps the industry running at impossible pace. You'll see how a spotless plate might have a history, how a fresh dish may have traveled more than you did, how a menu nudges you without your permission, and how a dining room's calm masks a backstage hurricane. These aren't rare cases. They're normal, standard, invisible by design. Across 45 real practices, leaks, and documented truths, you'll understand why restaurants work the way they do. Pressure, psychology, economics, and the quiet, relentless need to keep customers smiling, regardless of what's happening behind the wall. This isn't a warning, it's a map, showing you the things you were never meant to notice. Welcome to the Absurdist Files, File 008, 45 Things Restaurants Never Want You to Find Out, where hospitality is a performance and the secrets are simmering just out of sight, behind the kitchen door. 1. The fresh dish that isn't fresh at all. Many diners assume fresh means ingredients were chopped that morning. But in countless restaurants, especially high-volume chains, signature dishes are pre-cooked in central commissaries, vacuum-sealed, and reheated at the local branch. Business Insider investigations showed that major chains like Olive Garden, Chili's, and Applebee's rely heavily on sous vide bags to streamline labor and control flavor consistency. It's not unsafe, it's efficient, and it lets restaurants serve 10 dishes in 10 minutes. But it means your just-made pasta may have been cooked days ago in another state. 2. The microwave is more important than the stove. While upscale kitchens rarely rely on microwaves, casual restaurants use them constantly, despite pretending not to. Former employees from multiple chains, BuzzFeed, Reddit AMA threads, confirmed that many sides, sauces, and even proteins get microwaved to perfect plating temperature. The irony? Chefs sometimes hide the microwave behind swinging doors so customers won't see. To the kitchen, it's not cheating, it's survival during rush hour. Presentation makes it look handcrafted. The truth is faster, quieter, and powered by a magnetron. 3. The grill marks are sometimes painted on. Several frozen food suppliers confirmed that the grill marks on fire-grilled chicken or vegetables are often added by a machine called a branding wheel, a heated metal drum that stamps char lines for visual appeal. Restaurants finish the dish on a flat-top grill, but the fresh grilled look was manufactured long before. It's cosmetic, legal, and extremely common. Food stylists have used this trick for decades. Restaurants just adopted the shortcut. 4. The oil isn't changed as often as you think. Deep fryers are expensive to refill, so many kitchens stretch oil far past the ideal replacement point, sometimes days longer. Health inspectors in multiple U.S. states have flagged restaurants for reusing oil until it darkens, thickens, and smokes. It doesn't mean every fried item is dangerous, but it does mean your golden crispy might be infused with yesterday's shrimp, today's onion rings, and tomorrow's chicken. 5. Returned food isn't always thrown away. Policies vary by region, but multiple undercover reports, Inside Edition, Today Show, found that some restaurants reserve returned dishes if they appear untouched. For example, a customer sends back a steak for being too rare. Kitchen throws it back on the grill and reserves. A pasta dish is returned for the wrong sauce. Sauce is wiped, new one added, plate goes back out. Not every restaurant does this, but enough have been caught that industry veterans say never assume a returned dish is fresh. 6. Food that hits the floor sometimes comes back up. The infamous 5-second rule doesn't officially exist, but versions of it do. Former employees interviewed by Vice and The Guardian admitted that in understaffed kitchens, a fallen item, especially a costly cut of meat, may be rinsed, re-seared, and sent back out. It's not universal, it's not legal, but under pressure, some cooks prioritize speed and waste reduction over purity. 7. Your plate might be more traveled than you are. Seafood labeled fresh at restaurants in the Midwest often arrives flash frozen from overseas, thawed in the kitchen, and marketed as market fresh. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration audits found mislabeling rates above 30% in certain regions. Your wild-caught snapper may actually be tilapia from Vietnam. It's not deception to the chef, it's logistics. Freshness is more about narrative than geography. 8. Prep cooks handle more than you know. Many diners picture chefs crafting dishes from scratch. In reality, the unsung heroes are prep cooks, often the lowest paid staff, who chop, portion, marinate, peel, wash, and pre-build 80% of a menu before service begins. Chefs then assemble and finish dishes rapidly. Industry insiders say, if the prep crew disappears, the restaurant collapses within 24 hours. Your meal relies more on invisible labor than culinary artistry. 9. The homemade dessert might be factory-made. Restaurant menus love the word house-made, but legally, in many countries, that term is loosely defined. Numerous restaurants buy pre-made desserts from suppliers like Sysco, US Foods, or regional commissaries, especially cheesecakes, pies, and tiramisu. They slice, dust with powdered sugar, drizzle a sauce, and call it ours. Health inspectors have no issue with this. Customers often do. 10. Kitchen surfaces are clean until they aren't. Kitchens appear spotless during service, but many are cleaned deeply only once a week, sometimes less. Health inspection records show that cutting boards, spice containers, and blender lids frequently test positive for cross-contamination because they're wiped, not washed. Chefs aren't lazy, they're overwhelmed. During rush hours, cleaning is a luxury. Presentation is prioritized over hygiene, not because they want to deceive, but because every spare second is needed to keep orders flowing. Psychology of the plate. 11. Menu layout is designed to control what you order. Most diners think menus are simply lists. In reality, they're highly engineered psychological tools. Research from Cornell University's Food and Brand Lab revealed that restaurants place their most profitable dishes in the golden triangle, the upper right, upper left, and center of the menu, because that's where eyes linger first. Prices are strategically removed or placed in smaller fonts to prevent mental price shock. Descriptions are padded with sensory language, buttery, slow-roasted, handcrafted, proven to increase sales by up to 27%. You think you're choosing freely. The menu thinks differently. 12. Plate size manipulates your appetite. Fine dining restaurants use smaller plates to make portions seem larger. Buffet and casual chains do the opposite. Larger plates encourage people to take more food. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that diners eat up to 22% more when using oversized plates. Restaurants benefit either way. High-end spots reduce cost while appearing elegant, and buffets increase consumption while keeping average margins stable. The illusion is simple. A small plate makes an average portion appear generous, and a large plate tricks your brain into wanting more. 13. Music controls how fast you eat. Multiple studies, including one from the University of Oxford, show that restaurants use music to alter customer behavior. Fast-tempo songs make people chew faster and clear tables more quickly, ideal for busy chains. Slow jazz or acoustic tracks encourage longer dining times and higher alcohol sales. Some restaurants even tune the bass frequencies subtly to make cocktails taste smoother or desserts richer. Customers swear the food tastes better. The truth is, you're eating to the beat. 14. Dim lighting makes you order more expensive items. Restaurants lower lights for ambiance, but it's also a pricing strategy. Low lighting reduces visual focus, making people more susceptible to emotional decisions rather than practical ones. A major hospitality study found that diners in dimly lit rooms order significantly more wine, premium cocktails, and desserts. It's not romance, they're guiding your impulse control. Bright lights push customers to eat quicker and spend less. A shadowy room? That's where the profit margins live. 15. Chef's special means best margin, not best food. The special isn't always the chef's favorite dish. More often, it's a strategic way to move surplus ingredients or promote items with the highest profit margins. Industry insiders told Eater that specials are the restaurant's financial Swiss Army knife, used to clear overstock, test experimental dishes, or push ingredients close to expiration, but still safe. Specials are rarely discounted. They're priced higher because the name makes them sound exclusive. 16. Photos on menus target specific customers. Upscale restaurants avoid menu photos because images cheapen the perceived quality, but fast casual and family chains use them deliberately. HD food photos increase sales by 30% or more. Eye tracking studies show that children especially are influenced by pictures, which is why kids' menus heavily feature bright images. It's not decoration, it's neuromarketing, and it works frighteningly well. 17. The anchor price trick. Restaurants often place one extremely expensive item, a $180 steak, a $90 seafood tower, to make everything else seem affordable by comparison. This is called anchor pricing, a tactic supported by decades of consumer psychology research. Most diners never intend to order the high-priced decoy, but seeing it shifts their perception of value. Suddenly, a $48 entree feels reasonable. The anchor item rarely sells. It's a psychological lighthouse guiding you towards slightly overpriced shorelines. 18. Descriptions can manipulate your memory of taste. A Stanford study found that descriptive labeling, heirloom carrots with warm spice glaze, makes diners later describe dishes as tastier, even if served identical food. Restaurants know this. That's why menus highlight adjectives tied to nostalgia: grandma's, rustic; authenticity, farm-raised, artisan; or craftsmanship, slow-braised, hand-tossed. Your memory of the flavor is subtly rewritten by the words you read 20 minutes earlier. 19. Pricing without dollar signs increases spending. Ever notice that many menus list prices as $14 instead of $14? This isn't design minimalism, it's psychology. Cornell's hospitality research found that dollar signs trigger loss aversion, making diners more price sensitive. Removing them shifts the focus away from cost and toward emotion. Even the spacing matters. Prices aligned in a column encourage cheap comparison, so restaurants often scatter them to avoid shoppers' instincts. It's not aesthetics, it's behavioral economics disguised as typography. 20. Wait times are manipulated to make a restaurant look popular. Some restaurants deliberately inflate quoted wait times, 45 minutes, even when tables are available. Why? Because scarcity increases perceived value. If customers believe a place is in demand, they tolerate inconvenience and feel more satisfied once seated. It also prevents guests from feeling rushed, since being seated early feels like a small victory. Former hostesses interviewed by The Atlantic admitted their managers trained them to use psychological buffering. It's not lying, it's managing expectations. The expiration games. 21. Fresh seafood is usually frozen, especially far from the coast. Most diners imagine fresh fish delivered daily. In reality, restaurants hundreds of miles from the ocean rely almost entirely on flash-frozen seafood. The FDA allows restaurants to market fish as fresh if it was frozen immediately after catch and thawed shortly before cooking. A 2017 Oceana study found that over 80% of fresh, sushi-grade fish sold in inland restaurants had been frozen at least once, sometimes twice. Chefs aren't lying. They're using survival logistics. Freshness in restaurants means thawed correctly, not pulled from the water this morning. 22. Many restaurants reuse leftover food for staff meals. Health inspectors routinely note that leftover ingredients, close to expiration but still safe, are often repurposed for staff meals rather than thrown out. This isn't shady, it's standard, but some restaurants stretch the practice further, using older produce for soups, stews, or sauces served to customers. It's legal as long as food is stored properly. However, several whistleblower chefs have admitted on Reddit AMA threads that soup of the day sometimes translates to vegetable drawer purge. 23. Food labels get flexible. In 2016, multiple U.S. restaurants were cited for relabeling product dates, extending use by or prep by stickers to avoid waste. While illegal if done unsafely, the practice still occurs. Former employees told Business Insider that managers often instruct staff to replace dates on dairy, sauces, and prepped proteins. Why? Waste costs money. Many kitchens operate at razor-thin margins. As one line cook said, "Expiration dates aren't guidelines, they're suggestions with consequences." 24. Buffets have high cross-contamination rates. A study from the International Association for Food Protection found that buffet utensils, sneeze guards, and communal serving tools carry significantly higher bacterial counts than other restaurant stations. The biggest culprit? Customers themselves. Hands, coughs, and repeated touching contaminate items faster than staff can clean. Some buffet items are topped up rather than replaced entirely, mixing fresh and older food. Legally safe, yes, but far from pristine. 25. Oil is filtered, not replaced. While many diners assume fryers are emptied nightly, industry staff know the truth. Oil is filtered, not changed, until it becomes unusable. High-quality fryers allow oil to be strained and recirculated several times, extending lifespan by days or weeks. Health inspectors often cite restaurants for pushing the limits. Darkened oil means bitter flavors, increased acrylamide formation, and flavor ghosts from previously fried items. One inspector told local news, "If the fries have a hint of fish, you know the oil's history." 26. Homemade sauces are often industrial base mixes. Many restaurants advertise house-made sauces, but a large portion are built from pre-made industrial bases sold by Sysco, GFS, or regional distributors. Chefs add herbs, butter, wine, or cream to tailor the flavor, but the backbone, the demi-glace, marinara, Alfredo, curry base, is often mass-produced. This isn't deception, it's consistency. But it means your grandma's marinara may come from a factory 2 states away, with a garnish of basil disguising the supply chain reality. 27. Ice machines are among the dirtiest places in the building. Health inspection reports show that restaurant ice machines frequently test positive for mold, yeast, and bacteria because they're rarely cleaned thoroughly. Mold can grow behind the plastic walls where staff rarely look. A 2013 independent investigation in the UK found that restaurant ice sometimes contained more bacteria than toilet water because toilets get cleaned more often. Ice is considered food by law, yet treated with far less caution. 28. Salad mixes are often older than you think. Bagged salad mixes have a deceptive shelf life. They may look crisp, but many are gassed with modified atmospheres to slow browning. Restaurants buy these in bulk and stretch them over multiple days. Health inspectors report that salad stations often test high for Listeria and E. coli due to moisture buildup in containers. Many chefs privately admit they don't order salads themselves when dining out. It's the least predictable item in the building, one told Vice. 29. Pre-cut fruits and veggies lose their safety window fast. Once produce is chopped, its surface area increases, accelerating bacterial growth. Yet many restaurants prep fruits and vegetables in large batches in the morning to save labor later. FDA guidelines recommend using cut produce within 24 hours. Some restaurants stretch that to 48 or even 72 hours. Staff justify it because products are stored cold, but multiple foodborne illness outbreaks have been linked to old, pre-cut produce. Your fruit bowl's freshness? It's mostly visual. 30. Dishwashers don't sanitize everything. Commercial dishwashers are fast, loud, and powerful, but not magic. Utensils covered in melted cheese, oily marinades, or egg residue often survive the first pass. Understaffed kitchens sometimes send them out anyway if the dining room is slammed. A report by the National Restaurant Association revealed that during peak rushes, dishwashers may run on shortened cycles to keep up. The result? Plates that look clean under warm light but haven't been fully sanitized. Dining room illusions. 31. Servers smile because they're trained, not because they like you. Hospitality manuals from major chains reveal that servers are trained to smile at specific moments: greeting, taking orders, delivering food, and presenting the bill. The smile is part of the guest emotional management system, not genuine warmth. Eye contact is timed for maximum trust building. According to the Journal of Hospitality Management, guests rate food as tasting better when served with a smile, regardless of the dish's actual quality. The illusion is simple. You think you're enjoying the moment, you're actually responding to a pre-scripted emotional pattern designed by corporate trainers. 32. Bread service isn't free, it's a psychological tool. Restaurants offer complimentary bread not out of kindness but strategy. Bread keeps you busy, lowers perceived wait times, and stimulates thirst, leading to higher drink sales. It also prevents hanger-based complaints, which improves server tips. A study from the European Food Journal showed that tables receiving free bread were 27% more patient and spent, on average, 10 to 15% more. You didn't get free bread, you got a pacifier disguised as hospitality. 33. The table you sit at was chosen to control your behavior. Hosts are trained to seat couples, families, and groups in very specific locations. First dates get quiet corners for better conversation. Big spenders get high-visibility tables near the bar to create social proof. Families with kids are placed near exits or restrooms to minimize disruption. Solo diners are seated near windows to make the dining room look busier from outside. Seating charts are not random, they're choreography. The goal? Maximize mood, minimize problems, and paint a picture of success. 34. We're out of that dish sometimes means the chef refuses to make it. Many restaurants claim an item is sold out when they actually have the ingredients, just not the time or staff to prepare it properly during rush hour. Chefs call this soft 86ing. It's not deception, it's damage control. Certain dishes take too long or clog the line, so they're quietly pulled from rotation when the kitchen is drowning. Former line cooks told Eater that some dishes vanish not because they're gone, but because the chef is protecting the rest of the menu from collapse. 35. Candlelight isn't for romance, it's to hide imperfections. Dim lighting and candlelit tables hide scratches, stains, fingerprints, and aging decor that would be obvious under bright LEDs. Restaurants use warm, low lighting because it softens the appearance of everything: people, plates, and even the food itself. A study by the Lighting Research Center found that diners perceive dishes as more artful under warm light, even when the plating is identical. Romance is secondary. Concealment is primary. 36. Table wobbles are more common than you think, and staff often ignore them. Wobbly tables drive customers crazy, but many restaurants don't permanently fix them. They just stack folded napkins underneath. Repairs require tools, time, and sometimes lifting heavy furniture during peak hours. Staff often rely on a temporary shim, hoping the next shift will handle it. Most don't. Industry insiders joke that wobbly tables are a rite of passage for diners, not a malfunction. The truth? Stability is optional. 37. Drink refills are timed based on profit, not thirst. Servers aren't trained to refill drinks when you're empty. They're trained to refill right before you're empty. Behavioral research shows that guests are more likely to order a second drink if the first refill happens early. Some chains even have electronic server stations that alert staff when it's been too long since the last beverage contact. Your hydration is managed like a revenue stream. 38. The clean dining room has a dirty secret. Dining rooms look spotless because they're cleaned constantly during service, but rarely deeply cleaned between shifts. Staff focus on front-facing areas like tabletops, windows, and menus. but corners, chair undersides, and baseboards often go untouched. Swab tests conducted by Good Morning America showed that restaurant menus and salt shakers commonly contain higher bacteria levels than toilets. The illusion of cleanliness is maintained by selective attention, not comprehensive sanitation. 39. The host controls the entire room like an air traffic controller. Most customers see hosts as greeters. In reality, they manage the flow of the entire restaurant, pacing table seating, balancing server workload, managing reservations, and manipulating wait times to maintain the illusion of busyness. Hosts can make or break a night's service. That's why some restaurants hire hosts with the same scrutiny they hire managers, because in a crisis, the person with the podium is the one keeping the room from imploding. 40. Many restaurants reuse tablecloth sections without washing the whole cloth. High-end restaurants often use large, multi-layer tablecloths. When one part gets stained, staff flip or rotate the cloth to reveal a clean section instead of replacing the entire fabric. Full laundry cycles are expensive and time-consuming, so partial replacement is common industry-wide. Some restaurants even use skirting covers, thin decorative layers placed on top of older linens to hide imperfections. Elegance, in this context, is often just strategic covering. The chaos they hide best. 41. Restaurants keep a secret blacklist of customers. Many restaurants maintain an unofficial do not serve or high-risk table list. Customers who are known for dining and dashing, harassing staff, faking allergies, or leaving consistently poor tips. According to former hosts interviewed by The Washington Post, names are shared between managers and even other restaurants in the same district. Some POS systems, like Aloha and Toast, allow staff to add internal notes visible only to employees. Warn chef about this table. Always complains. Claims gluten allergy but orders beer. You'll never know you're on the list. You'll simply wonder why your service feels colder. 42. Servers can tell your relationship status in 10 seconds. Veteran servers claim they can identify couples on first dates, long-term couples, affairs, and breakups before the guests even sit down. This skill, confirmed in multiple eater interviews, is part pattern, part training. First dates sit closer together, adjust clothes often, and glance at the menu for structure. Married couples often sit across and start with water. Affairs, lower voices, nervous laughter, no photos, high tips, and avoidance of familiar restaurants. Breakups? One person arrives early and stares at the door. Restaurants don't judge, but they read everything. 43. Allergies are sometimes ignored when kitchens are overwhelmed. Most restaurants take allergies seriously, but some kitchens, especially rushed ones, cut corners. A 2021 undercover investigation in the UK revealed that multiple restaurants served allergen-containing dishes to customers who clearly stated their restrictions simply because communication broke down on the line. In the US, several high-profile court cases, Chipotle, Panera, involved staff ignoring allergy flags during rush hour. It's not malicious, it's chaos. But it's one of the biggest secrets restaurants try to keep quiet. During peak service, human error can override policy. 44. Made from scratch sometimes means assembled from bags. Restaurants often market dishes as made from scratch, but in many kitchens that means assembling multiple pre-made components rather than truly cooking. Pancake batter, powder mix. Soups, concentrate plus water. Mashed potatoes, dehydrated flakes blended with butter and cream. Even guacamole in some chains comes pre-mashed in vacuum packs. Chefs add fresh herbs or citrus and call it house-made. It's not a scam, just an industry built on speed, consistency, and illusion. 45. Kitchens often fall apart behind the scenes. You just never see it. During peak hours, kitchens can descend into full chaos. Shouting, pans dropping, timers screaming, printers spitting, tickets non-stop. Chefs have meltdowns, servers cry in walk-in coolers, managers sprint between disasters. Yet outside, the dining room remains peaceful. Customers sip wine unaware that 2 minutes earlier a cook slipped, a sauce burned, an oven malfunctioned, or a health inspector walked in unannounced. As one Michelin chef told Bon Appetit, "Our job is to make catastrophe look like elegance." The calm you experience is a performance carefully staged to keep the truth in the dark. What you weren't supposed to see. Khoảng 200 đến 254. Behind every perfect dish is a system built on invisible pressure. Behind every smile is a script. Behind every dining room is a controlled illusion balanced on shortcuts, psychology, and choreography. If restaurants revealed how much chaos goes into a single plate, nobody would relax enough to enjoy the meal. These aren't dirty secrets, they're operational truths, industry norms, realities shaped by thin margins, unpredictable crowds, and the relentless expectation that every table should feel special, even when the kitchen is seconds away from collapse. Restaurants hide things not because they're malicious, but because the truth would break the spell, and the entire dining industry depends on keeping that spell intact. In the end, dining out is a shared agreement. They pretend everything is perfect, you pretend you believe them, and between those two illusions, the meal becomes something magical, the feast you were never meant to see. Restaurants are built on a simple illusion that everything happening around you is intentional, elegant, effortless. But after 45 documented truths, the picture is clearer. A restaurant is not a sanctuary of calm. It is a controlled storm with candles on top. The meal you enjoy is the final frame of a movie whose behind-the-scenes footage would terrify you. For every perfect plate, there's a prep cook who arrived at dawn slicing vegetables older than the labels claim. For every warm smile, there's a server calculating emotional timing, refills, and table pacing, like a stage actor working from an invisible script. For every made-fresh dish, there's a freezer, a vacuum-sealed bag, a microwave door quietly clicking behind swinging walls. And for every peaceful dining room, there's a kitchen barely holding the line together, improvising, sanding down disasters, hiding burn marks, literal and metaphorical. But this file was never about exposing restaurants. It's about exposing the machinery of illusion itself. Dining out is simply one of the most polished versions of a universal truth. People will always hide the chaos required to create calm. Every industry has its backstage. Every person has their mess. Restaurants just make the contrast impossible to ignore because the performance is happening in real time, 10 feet from the collapsing engine that powers it. What you don't see is the invisible math of survival. The prep work that holds a kitchen upright, the psychology that shapes your appetite, the choreography that controls your mood, the quiet, constant negotiation between what is ideal and what is possible. And the truth is this: if you saw everything, you wouldn't eat. If they showed everything, they wouldn't survive. So we all participate in the fiction, willingly, gratefully, and often with a glass of something cold in hand. This doesn't make restaurants deceptive. It makes them human. Because whether it's a dining room, a workplace, a relationship, or a life, you never get the full picture. You get the presentation, the curated version, the parts deemed safe enough, polished enough, pretty enough for others to digest. The chaos never disappears. It's just kept behind a door you're not meant to open. But now you've seen what's behind it. Not to make you distrust your next meal, but to appreciate the performance, the effort, the invisible scaffolding holding up the things we take for granted. This has been The Absurdist Files, File 008, 45 Things Restaurants Never Want You to Find Out. Where the dining room is a stage, the kitchen is a battlefield, and every plate is a quiet negotiation between truth and illusion. Bon appetit, and welcome back to the surface.